Welcome to Vintage Gaming Memories. Shall we play a game?
Hello everyone. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome to the channel, and I hope you visit often. Those that are returning, thanks for coming back. I appreciate it. And everyone, please be sure to subscribe because as we know how this broken record goes, it really does help grow a YouTube channel by having more subscribers to show the support. Now let's check out this pile of packages that I've purchased from probably, anywhere from about 2 months ago until probably actually today. I have a package that just came in. Every time I make a dent, I seem to have more things coming in the mail, which I'm not complaining because that's a good problem to have, especially if you want to continue sharing with everyone some great memories of our past. So let's see here. Which package are we going to look at? I think we're going to take a look at this one here. Yeah, this is it. Let's check this one out. In this box, we're going to look at an item that I purchased only because of a comment posted by one of you. It was in my video from September titled 1996 Realistic Xeon Strobe Signal Appliance. Check it out if you haven't. It's sure to bring back a lot of memories for some of us because it was around from the early 80s through the 90s. Anyhow, a viewer by the name of High Caliber recalled having this item from back in the day, and it sure seemed like a possible fire hazard from the comment that he left. So that got me intrigued enough to want to get it because I do remember seeing this as a child, and I want to see how much of a hazard this could possibly be. So let's crack this open and check it out. Okay, well, here it is. This is the 1984 realistic Psycho-Lite color show. A similar model, number 423016, which is not this number here, it first appeared in the Radio Shack catalog back in 1980, but that design was a little bit different than this one here, as you can see. So in 1984, 4 years later, they seem to have redesigned it to look like this one here, and with a new model number of 423018. Now, both of these were priced at $12.95 back then, and I happen to pay $65 for this one. Let's examine here what we have. Now, it was noted by the seller that this was a working condition item that came with the original box. And I believe there's instructions in here as well. So let's see what's inside. Well, there is the ball. And this is all plastic, so somewhat delicate. Sometimes that can be more delicate than glass. Actually, it is actually more delicate than glass because of how plastic can deteriorate in time. And here is the instructions like was noted on the listing. Now, it's a bit kind of, I guess, not in the greatest shape, but that's all right. I don't really need the instructions so much, but it's cool to have. I don't see anything here about hazards other than there is a safety feature here, which is funny because it's the polarized plug, meaning that the one blade is wider than the other, so it can only fit in the outlet one way. But other than that, it doesn't mention it. But I will show you where it's at. So this color ball looks pretty good. I mean, it's plastic and doesn't look like there's any cracks. It is kind of dull finished, I guess you could say, which could use a nice polish, which I'm going to definitely use with the Novus 1 product. So we'll see a before and after. But for the most part, just like the listing, it looked pretty good. And it's packaged really nice. And let me show you how this should be taken out because you don't want to ruin what's inside the center here. And I'll explain that in a second. You can remove the base from the top like that. And then this is the key element to it all. This little spinning colors of shapes and designs. You definitely don't want to break that. And then extra protection, which I appreciate.
That's what she said.
And then we have our little plastic dome here that I will clean up and polish. Let me take care of all that and come right back and show you the end results. All right, everything's been cleaned up and polished with Novus One, and it turned out just perfect. But before we go in more details of showing how everything is put back together again, I do want to show you a little bit more on the box, because I forgot to mention some of the writing on here, other than the model number. It says here to the side, "Enjoy your own light show, great for parties and dances." Create a kaleidoscope of color on walls, floors, and ceiling. If you have all that, you're going to have a great party. Custom manufactured in the USA for Radio Shack, division of Tandy Corporation. And that's all it says. And I think that's all you need to see and read, because once you get a look at this, you want to buy it for $12.95, which is equivalent to, what, about $39 in today's market if you account for inflation. Same information on the other side, and that's about it. So that's the box. And now back to the clean and polished Psycho-Lite spinning color ball that we need to put back together again. Like I said, I cleaned everything, including the cord, polished the plastic dome, came out nice. The bulb, the 15-watt clear bulb, it's recommended for this as well. That looks to be in good shape, so we'll try that. And then the first hazard I noticed is this. Gotta be careful. Luckily I didn't prick myself. You can see here there's a point, and it is very sharp. If you're not careful, you could easily puncture your skin. This is very key for having the whole thing to work, and I'll show you that in a second, because it's a balancing part of the whole entire contraption here. So let's put this all back together again, and then I will explain how this works. So the base is this, and we can probably go ahead and put the bulb on. Then we can put this hazardous pointy arch of a thing, which I'll explain what it does in a second. It lines up in these two holes here. And this piece here, I would say, is probably the most important part of this entire spinning color ball. You wouldn't have the colors without this. Now this color cylinder balances on top of that pointed tip. So on the inside of the cylinder, you can see there's a little bit of an opening in there. The pin would just balance in that little hole. And that's how that works. Now you'd think, how is that going to spin? Well, that's the magic to all of this. So what I'll do first is probably show you this without the actual cover on top, because I want to show you how this actually spins. I think you might figure it out just by looking at the vents. Hint, hint, heat. So let's plug this in, and let's just see how long it takes for heat to generate inside of the cylinder in order for it to spin around the light bulb. All right, I have this plugged in, ready to go. I just have to turn the switch on, and we'll see what happens to the cylinder. So let's turn it on. The bulb works, which is great. Let's see how long it takes before it starts to spin. Pretty quick. With the matter of seconds, it's already kind of moving here. And again, there's no motor. It's all done by the heat that's generated from that light bulb coming up, because remember, it's a cylinder. The bottom is open, but heat rises. And when it rises up, what do we have on top? We have louvers. And those louvers are angled in a direction where if it comes out, it's going to go on an angle, and it will actually propel the cylinder to move in a clockwise rotation. Pretty cool. Now that's where a lot of the damage occurs, because obviously the heat generated from the light bulb could be enough to melt this plastic cylinder, which this one seems to be in pretty good condition considering 40 plus years old. A lot of these can get warped and melted, and that's where I mentioned some of the concerns of hazards being that the heat could melt the cylinder. And I think that's what High Caliber, who commented on the other video, might have mentioned about his experience. One negative is with the speed. Can't really control the speed, but this is a nice speed that will reflect the entire room when it shines through that cylinder, hitting this dome, which has a lot of angles within inside there. And that light will just reflect everywhere once it shines through the inside out. And a nice dark room would really take advantage of this, as we would just have to cover it up and take a look. So what I'm going to do now is turn it off, put the cover on, and let's go into a darker room and see how this looks. Actually, what we can do is do it in this room right now since I have it running. I'm going to cover it up, turn the lights off, and let's just see how it reflects just around this room. How cool is that? What I'm going to do is take the cover off, and then I'm going to check the temperature of that light bulb. Just kind of curious how hot it actually gets. We're going to use my infrared thermometer here, and let's just see what that light bulb registers as far as the heat it's producing right now. About 134 at the highest. Actually 136 I'm getting. 147. 153, 169. Obviously certain areas of the bulb will be very hot compared to others, which would be a little bit less. 162.3 degrees. That seems to be pretty hot. And remember, this is all open, so if it's closed in with this, that for sure will get really warm inside. So probably not something you want to be running unattended. Okay, I'm going to close this all up and put it in a larger room, probably in the game room of mine, and we'll see how this looks on the walls, the ceilings, and on the floor, and get a good idea how much of a party light this really is. Okay, I have the Psycho-Lite pretty much in the middle of my game room, and I have the surrounding lights set to the typical ambiance level at night. And we have some LED shelving lights lit and the ceiling can lights on a very low level. Now we'll turn this on and we'll see how it illuminates the room, or not. Alright, this wasn't too bad, but let's make it a little bit better by doing a semi-blackout. By that I mean, let's just turn off the ceiling can lights, and let's just see if that makes a difference. I actually like this better than a disco ball, where it reflects the lights off each of the mirrors. And it's actually better than the strobe light, because it's not annoying to where you get dizzy or even blinded when you look at it. I would say probably the only concern I have with this is that you probably better make sure that your homeowner's insurance policy is current. Of course I'm joking, but you have to think how hot that 15 watt bulb really gets when you have that running for quite some time. For example, what I'm thinking is, let's just say that color cylinder that spins around, what if that gets, let's just say, off balance on that sharp point? Like maybe somehow it goes off center because it gets bumped or a breeze knocks it off center. You know, then now it's tilted and it's touching that light bulb that's very hot, that plastic cylinder will definitely melt, and who knows what else would happen afterwards, but hopefully it just melts and you would smell it and then you would just turn it off. So I guess what I'm saying is don't use this as a night light, but instead be around it while it's on. That's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did with making it. Also, big thanks and a shout out to High Caliber for mentioning this item in his comments. And it goes to show that I do read all of them, and you just never know what might inspire me to pursue something and just make a video out of it. On that note, thank you all for watching, and until next time, keep your gaming passion from the past alive by living it today. Take care, everyone.